There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone. Welcome back to the Fangirl Zone. I am Sean, Fangirl S, and today joining me is Miss Jennifer. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello, everyone.
And we're back for episode 2 of season 2 of Handmaid's Tale. This one is entitled Unwomen, which, oh my god.
Ooh, this one. I need a moment of silence. Okay, I'm ready.
It was something else. So
where do we even start? I mean,
well, let's give the little tiny synopsis that we always.
Okay, there we go.
Offered adjust to a new way of life, the arrival of an unexpected person disrupts the colonies. A family is torn apart by the rise of Gilead. So, yeah. Wow.
This one, super pissed me off, but at the same time, I was like, yes, girl, you reclaim yourself. You reclaim yourself, girl, go!
Okay.
And then the rest of the time I was screaming, what the fucking fuck?
Right.
No! And double no! And then there was the one part where I'm like, oh yes, dilly, you well done, Emily, well done. So it was a range of emotions. I was everywhere in this episode.
It was something else. Okay, I've said that 4 times, but we have almost 3 separate stories, really. So you have June with what's happening with her. Mm-hmm. You have Emily, what happens to her now, and what happened to her before.
Yes. It was a really good who is Emily backstory. Yes. And I was so glad that we got the colonies through her perspective because I love Emily as a character. Yes. She was in season 1, she was killing it. She was not going to go down quiet. She ran over some people before she got sent to the colony. I mean, she was not taking their shit. And then the one big thing I wanted to know more about from the first season and the book is I'm like, well, I need to know about the colonies. I want to know exactly, how is life there? Who gets sent there? For what reasons? Do they send wives there? Well, we found out answers to those questions in this one, and I was super excited.
And see, I wanted to know about before, because we didn't get any of that in the book.
Right. We did not.
And so, all right, first, we're going to do June first. Because let's do all of June, because obviously, Emily, we have past and present, so we'll do June. We start with June in the back of a truck, laying underneath stuff.
Yep.
Just hearing her thought, am I ever getting out of Gilead? There's probably no getting out. It's inside of you. And it's like, wow, that's kind of deep.
Yeah, she is definitely, she's conflicted. She's like, have I messed up? What have I done? Shit, is there even hope at this point, basically?
It's so interesting because she ends up getting dropped off. So obviously the network for Mayday is a lot bigger than we know.
Yes.
But she gets dropped off at, of all places, the Boston Globe.
Yeah, which I thought was really funny because didn't she work as an editor for a book company?
Yes.
Yeah, and she's just kind of milling around the office, looking at their cubicle stuff and, seeing, she finds the one shoe in the cubicle and then she finds that one wall where it looks like everyone got executed and there's the other shoe.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, yeah. And so she's just kind of it's almost like she's an anthropologist kind of walking through to see kind of, what went down in this place years ago at this point, and just trying to piece together, what kind of people were here. She's looking at their pictures and their artwork from their kids and things like that. And she's just kind of remembering through those artifacts the life she had before.
Right.
Is kind of how I saw it.
Yeah, you had kids' pictures, I love you, Mom, and just all this stuff. It's okay, this is normal life. She finds a video, not a video, a DVD.
Friends.
It's back where it's you can watch whatever, and you can watch TV, period. Yeah, and just the little things. And we see her when she first gets there, and the guy, and this was interesting to me. She is so programmed with Gilead. The guy is you have water, you have food, there's electricity, don't go outside. Obviously somebody will be here. And he's maybe I'll see you, maybe I won't. And she automatically says under his eye. And he's
after a while, crocodile, just like nothing
Yeah, exactly.
him.
Like, it's just like, yeah, it's just so programmed into her, you know, because she knows that if she does not respond the proper way in Gilead, you know, it means dire consequences. You know, any little thing is the slightest disrespect can get you in big, big trouble.
Right.
So, I mean, it was just an automatic response. And I think she also said it a little too to kind of test him. But again, I think it just kind of came out, and then she's like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But then she kind of looks at him and he's like, okay, after a while. And she's like, you know, okay, I can breathe a little bit,
right.
but she's still a little, scared.
Well, yeah, because she runs and hides.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who's coming, who's seen anything. And I would be
who could even be in there with you?
Right.
Who could be in there with you, you know?
I was like, oh my God, did she hear something? Is somebody coming? Did she hear gunshots? And I'm, of course, like freaking out. I don't know about you. But she makes it through the night and, exploring everything. It was really, like, interesting to see her reaction. Because it's like, all right, so for so long she was under close, watchful eye, lock and key, basically. And now she's totally isolated. Yes. And it's like, what do I do? How do I feel?
Yeah, what do I even do with myself? Do I watch Friends? And so finally she starts collecting the items from different cubes. I'm like, okay, what is she doing here? And then she goes to the wall where obviously a lot of people lost their lives. And you see her create that beautiful shrine, that immemorial, where she's putting pictures up, she's putting personal items, she's lighting candles. And to me, that said, she's reclaiming her faith. Because she's had this bullshit of the brothers of Jacob pushed down her throat, which is not – it's this bastardized form of Christianity that she is not on board with. And you see that she still has not lost her faith. She's reclaiming it, I feel like, in that moment by honoring the victims and basically setting up a memorial for them. And then with the scenes with her and Nick, that her girlfriend is reclaiming her sexuality.
Yes, because Nick
bada boom, bada bing. Yeah.
Nick shows up, and this was kind of what caught me and made me a little leery, and this is what I'm seeing all over all the Facebook pages, with the groups. They're like, well, how did he find out? Nobody's supposed to know what the next step is, but suddenly he knows where she is. And a lot of people are looking at Nick like, I still don't trust you.
Yeah, so I don't know if I fully trust him either, but I mean, and I've seen a lot of people like, are you team Nick or are you team Luke? And I'm like, I don't think that there is even time to like do ships in Handmaid's Tale or to worry about who ends up with who. But I mean, I know I've questioned before, after all of this, can she even go back to Luke? Does she have genuine feelings for Nick? And will Nick end up betraying her in some way, shape, or form? Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe Luke would be willing to accept her back. Who knows what's going to happen? But in this episode where, they have sex, she dominates him. She's like reclaiming herself. She is taking charge. She's having sex on her own terms, finally for the first time in forever. Because even when they were sleeping together at the commander's house, it was kind of like, they were doing it to cope. It was like survival sex almost. And she knew she had to get pregnant.
Right.
But this was completely and totally on her terms, I think. And that was kind of her reclaiming herself. And a lot of this episode is her reclaiming her humanity, trying to get back to as normal as she can, definitely reclaiming her sexuality and again, reclaiming her faith, that she can still have faith, because at one point she's like, there is no God.
Right.
What God would let, this even happen. And you see that, maybe she's like, okay, well, all right, it's faith on my terms. And everything's on my terms now. I may not have control of where I can be right now, but there are some things in my life that I can control. So I'm going to do it. I'm reclaiming it. So
now, just to back up a little bit, because obviously Nick gets there, she freaks out, she wants out, and Nick's like, I can't get you out. It's not safe right now. She's like, give me the keys, give me your gun. Or actually, she didn't say give me your gun. He gives it to her.
Yeah, and she's like, that's not how he's not like, he's like, that's not how it works. You don't understand.
Right. But you have all that happening, and then she finally realizes he's right. Where am I going to go? I'm going to get stopped. Mm-hmm. And so do you think that having to have him basically say, you're stuck here, is what kind of triggered everything? Like, screw that. I am taking what I can. And for her, for that moment, was like real hot, sweaty sex. Because even when he's like, I can't anymore, and she's like, try.
Yeah, I think that was her saying, fuck it, I'm gonna control what I can. Okay. If I can't leave here, then I'm gonna control what I can. I think that's totally spot on.
And a lot of people were even questioning that. They're like, oh, well, why did they have to have him there? I'm like, what do you mean, why? Because she's trying to deal with a whole lot of shit. And
from a rape survivor's standpoint, being able to have sex on your own terms is really empowering. So I can see that as her taking her power back.
And a lot of people, again, talking about, oh my God, she's like, they're all hot and sweaty. What the hell? And I'm like, seriously? I'm just putting this out as a woman. Isn't that kind of like ultimate? You want like this? Obviously the air's not kicking on either. Yeah, I mean, in this place, but come on, don't you want to have like really long, awesome session? You know, say that way.
Blowing, sweaty, sweat dripping down off of you. Sex? Yes. Hell yes. Of course. Anyone who hasn't experienced that, okay, put it on your bucket list to do before you die. Get hot, sweaty, down and dirty sex.
Yeah.
Have marathon sex because you gotta do it at least once in your lifetime or you just ain't living. That's my opinion. All right.
I agree with you. All right. So that being said, I'm still leery about how Nick found her. Because we talked about that last episode that nobody knows what's going on, so how did he track her?
Yeah, he's on the inside, that's for sure. But is he the one pulling the strings to get her out? Is it somebody else? I mean, wouldn't it be crazy if it were the commander trying to get her out because he realized Serena is maybe possibly going to turn him in? I don't know.
Oh, that would be wow.
That would be a good twist.
Yeah.
Because she knows about all his books and his, the things that he's not supposed to have from the old world. And I think in the book, he gets in trouble for having those things from the old world and gets punished. So I don't know if they're going to include that in the television series, but that would be a twist where Serena is kind of taking back, some of her own power. Hey, I helped mastermind this and guess what? You're breaking the rules. So your ass is going down. Bye-bye.
Interesting. I guess we have to wait and see how that plays out. But
yeah, I'm really interested to see how that goes. Especially now that June is, on the run. And I mean, the commander was there for the ultrasound. So who are we to say that he didn't tell the nurse or orderly, whoever it was, hey, put this key in her boot. I mean, who knows?
Wow, that's something I didn't even think about. So that's an interesting thought.
It could be
mull that over.
It could be a little tinfoily crackpot theory or ish, but I'll just throw that out there.
That ferment for a little bit. All right, so that's pretty much June this episode. It was pretty emotional with June.
Yep.
And crazy and sexy and everything. And you got to see Nick's butt. I don't know. I feel like you always end up seeing somebody's butt in one of these episodes. I don't know what it is lately, but
if you see someone's ass, take a shot. It's the Handmaid's drinking game.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right, so we're going to go with Emily. Now, we have Emily in the colony, so we do know what finally happened to her. They didn't kill her, which I was surprised. Mm-hmm. Why do you think they didn't kill her? I mean, her mutilation didn't work. Her gender mutilation, right. And so obviously she's not learning.
Because they were going to stone Janine to death, but her crime was she put a child in danger. Whereas Emily, her crime was she ran over a couple of the security guards, basically. Mm-hmm. So maybe they consider that a lesser crime, so you get shipped to the colonies, whereas they were ready to full out kill Janine. So I don't know what their justice system is. I don't know what criteria will get you put where. But I'm really interested as to why they didn't kill her, and maybe they wanted her to suffer and go to the colonies, and that's worse than killing you. I have no idea, but we do see her in the colonies, and it is super grim, and I kind of want to know, did they even tell us, where the colonies are? I mean, it looks like it's scorched earth, almost.
I think it varies, because in the book, there was multiple colonies. Some basically you're farming, some were, devastated by nuclear war, that's what I had to discuss at work. A lot of people were like, well, what were they digging up? I didn't understand. they're digging up like the top layer of soil, and that's why the bags are marked with radioactive signals.
Yeah, I wondered that too. So are they just like trying to remove that soil so that once the bad soil is gone, they can maybe use it for farmland?
That's what I'm taking from it, and on top of it is also punishment for those women.
It's like you're going to go and you're going to dig holes for no fucking reason. Have a nice life.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's a two-pronged thing. It's like, okay, they're going to keep digging, they're going to take it away, and then, yes, eventually it's going to be where the soil will be okay for them to use. Because we did see, like, a little garden area.
Right.
So, I'm assuming things are growing okay. I mean, I don't know too much about radioactive soil, so if we have any scientists actually out there listening to us, we will happily take any information you want to give us.
Yeah, what would they even do to the soil to be able to use it again? How deep does it go? Do you have to I don't know, does it just, over time before you can use it? I don't know. I still think if they try to grow corn, there's gonna be mutant corn that smiles at you or something.
Real eyeballs, yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to have ears. It's going to have eyes too. It's going to be kind of crazy. But I liked that Emily is a caretaker kind of person in the colonies, and she kind of takes care of those who get little wounds. And we see the one wife that comes off the bus.
And,
yes, and I just love her, and she was brilliant in this. And she sees that Emily is kind of the go-to person to take care of people, and so Emily slowly gains her trust and tells her things about the water, and helps her out with that nasty fingernail situation that happens, and takes it off the soap. She's like, the soap is or the water is contaminated. It's going to make you sick no matter what. But here, take these antibiotics, they'll help. Why are you doing this? And, she said, well, I had a kind mistress, is what she says.
No, and when she said that, I was like...
No, you didn't.
Well, no, because that last one was.
Yeah, I guess so. But then we find out she's not helping her. She's like, bitch, you held down a woman and let your husband rape her every month. There is no salvation for your kind. Die in pain, bitch. And I was just like, oh, damn.
But
I didn't
on
even
the
think about
opposite of that, too. We get the wife's perspective, where the wife is a true believer.
Mm-hmm.
And
she's praying. She is.
Yeah,
oh, yeah. She's hoping to be delivered.
And this is what threw me. She's like basically a sin of the flesh, so she got with whoever. But my husband was too busy with the handmaid to notice.
Right.
It was like, oh, shit. So... obviously, a lot of the commanders are screwing their handmaids other than during the ceremony.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because typically the handmaids are younger, particularly in the books, than the couples they're given to in order to have children. So guys in their midlife crises and, hot little, handmaid, her sole purpose is to be here to have sex with you. And we saw what happened with Janine and her
commander.
I did all the things that she wouldn't do, all the nasty things. And so, definitely an interesting look at, but she's still so blind. Like, she's in the colony. She's been sent to the colonies by, the very thing that she believes so much in, and somehow thinks that she's going to be saved somehow out of this.
I don't understand why she believes that when she sees what's going on, when she's known what happens to the people in the colony. Or do you think she's really that naive?
I think that she's just brainwashed to a point that something breaks in people where if something doesn't fit within their ideological profile that they have set, and it's outside of that ideology that they have set their mind on, that it's just something that they can't mentally accept without breaking. And I think that's kind of where she's at. Even if you're confronted with the evidence that the way you're thinking is wrong, or the things that you believe in are proven to be false, I think it breaks some people. And I think that's why some people cling so hard to their beliefs, even when there's evidence that suggests that what you believe can in no way, shape, or form be true.
It was just so weird to me to see that, because if you're being sent away at that point, I just feel like you should truly just be like, okay, obviously I am losing it, because even if I was all for this, because she even says, to Emily, you were a professor, I had my MBA or something like that.
She was an interior designer. She had an MFA.
Okay. So I wasn't for the college purges. I wasn't for this, but you weren't exactly against it.
Yeah, you didn't stand up and stop it either.
Right. So you weren't against it, and you seem to be a real true believer at this point. So
you've got this educated white lady, position of privilege, allowing this Gilead and all the horrors of Gilead to happen and not saying anything about it. And then you end up in the colonies. What do you think's going to happen to you?
Right. Right.
That's kind of my point, but
I'm kind of surprised there wasn't like a separate colony for the wives.
Well, yeah, I was surprised that they would put them together with former handmaids. I mean, you think about like when they send pedophiles to jail. Usually they don't make it very long before they get killed. I mean, or like the really bad serial killers like Jeffrey Dahmer and people like that. I mean, the other prisoners, there are just some crimes that other inmates are be like, oh no, you're a shit stain on this world and we're getting rid of you for some true justice kind of thing. And so, I don't know. I guess you just get assigned to wherever you get assigned to. They didn't really think that through.
Yeah, but it was rough. Obviously, Emily helped her along to meet her God.
Oh yes,
and I don't know who tied her out like a scarecrow, but the ants were pissed.
Oh yeah, I don't know if it was Emily or if Emily's got helpers, but I was just like, oh well, shit, she's been strung up. She is a message back to anyone who like comes off that bus, basically.
Right. Wow. And then we see another bus pull up, and I was like, oh my God, who's getting off of this bus now?
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out it was Janine.
Yep, you see crazy old Janine. Like, well, we couldn't kill her. That didn't work. To the colony she goes, and she sees Emily, and oh my God, I can't believe it's you. And they have that nice little reunion. Yeah.
So
she's just
next episode we'll see a little bit more of that.
I hope so. She's the unsinkable, crazy ass Janine. She's a nutter, and she's gonna survive to the very fucking end. You know she is.
Love her, but she's a nutter, yeah. Let me see. So we had everything that happened in the colony. So let's go back in time, shall we?
Yes.
We get to see what Emily was telling June about on one of their walks, that, you know, they tried to get out, her and her wife and her child, and at the airport they got stopped. And so we get to see this whole the whole thing like transpire in front of us.
Yeah, and the rules are changing basically hourly.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, it's like crazy. Like there are, more restrictions with every hour. They're like, was that, or when were those orders issued? Well, an hour ago. Well, these were issued 30 minutes ago. And it's like, okay. And it turns out, I guess her wife was Canadian.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So she was allowed to go on through, and they're like, who is the biological mother of this child? Who carried the child? And was it, your egg, or was it your partner's egg? And I guess it mattered whose egg it was, because I can't remember, did Emily or her wife carry
Emily did.
The baby? Emily did, but I think it was her wife's egg.
Well, no. Not in the show. They said it was hers.
Okay, so they said it was hers.
They stopped. And this was the question we had, because at the front, she tells the guard, no, I brought our marriage license because they said families can go through. He's like, only if you're married. She's like, no, here, I have my license. He's like, oh, it's good that you brought this. Now that guy, and here's my question to you, is he trying to just kind of keep things going and keep everybody calm and quiet at the very front of the airport? Or does he really not know what's going on? Because he's like, well, you'll just need a stamp. You'll have to go to this section.
Or did the orders change fast enough to say, okay, we've now invalidated all gay marriage?
From the time he talked to her to the time she got there?
I think it happened that fast.
Okay. See, I was thinking that he was not one of those people who were totally on board. He was just, like TSA there doing his job as he's told, like, okay, well, they need more paperwork. Okay, they just go to this part. Like that he did not believe he was not part of Gilead. That's how I was looking at it. Because he seems way too calm. Mm-hmm. Where
just go, oh yeah, you just need a stamp.
Yeah, and then plus even in before in the coffee shop last season, where you had the one true believer who was a total jackass. And I don't believe that the guy at the airport was. Now the second one, who was assuming the supervisor, he was a jackass.
Oh, he was an asshole.
Especially
the first speaker.
When he's asking these questions and she's like, I need to see your supervisor. I need a lawyer. What is going on? And you even had that second guard kind of grab her arm and like shove her down. It's like, oh.
Yeah, they start manhandling her.
Real.
So, okay, my question is, so did she end up saying that it was her wife's egg and that she carried the pregnancy so that at least they could go through?
Oh.
Like, did she sacrifice herself so that they could go?
Well, she does say, though, that she had 2 good ovaries later, so I don't think so. I think she was just like, no, it's my kid. Like, not thinking about it.
Right.
And so it never even dawned on her that it would be an issue.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even when, the guard is like, no, this is invalid. And she's like, by what law? He's like, the law. And looked at her and I was like, oh, this is when everything started going south fast.
Yep. And you can see people are frantically trying to get out of the country.
Yes. Because you go back a little further and they show us when she was teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I was a little confused because you have one guy, which you always have this in class, and it's not any one guy, girl, but it's one person in class. It's always like one asks a question and the other one just kind of invalidates the question. And she's like, well, no, because here's the truth of it. And she goes to talk to the girl who kind of looked like she was not literally smacked down, but, question-wise. And she's like, oh, it gets right. Don't worry. You keep asking questions. You're doing great. And she happens to see the picture on Emily's phone of her wife and child. And the girl, and this is where I thought it was weird.
Oh, is that your kid? Oh, he's so cute.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Like, no big deal. But then turns around, like there was a complaint about it. Like, oh my God, that girl just seemed like totally normal, like not a crazy one way or another. Gilead, non-Gilead.
Yeah, and you've got and Emily is openly gay, and, she doesn't really, see the need to hide it. But her male friend, who's a professor, I think, too, he is gay, and I think he even has a husband. He's like, well, I took pictures of me and my husband down because, well, you know how things are going right now. I just don't want to take any risks. And he ends up being strung up outside of the university. Oh, my God. I was so mad.
Now, I have to ask you, too, because I thought it was weird. They made Emily, back in her professorship, look so much older than she did as a handmaid.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it was the makeup that they did or what, but yeah, she looked older as a professor. And maybe it's just, her demeanor, where she is in a position of authority. And, maybe that made her look a little older, whereas, the handmaids are just kind of like traumatized and they're treated like children. And so, okay, well, I'm being treated like a child. So, but in the colony, she was looking really rough.
Yeah. She also radioactivity all around. So,
yeah.
Unless she turns into Spider-Man.
Hey, that might be a cool twist. And
there's a crossover.
There's the answer to the Avengers. There we have it. This is how we end it.
All right. So, all sorts of insanity, the little bits of past, present, and future, what's happening, and I want more.
I definitely got to have more. And I am so excited. We're going to that screening at Savannah College of Art and Design in Atlanta for the 3rd episode, and there's going to be a little discussion and Q&A session with select cast and crew members from The Handmaid's Tale, and we are super excited. So more on that later for you guys.
Hopefully Jennifer will be able to get some pictures or video or something so we can post that up so you can see what she's seen. And as always, check out the website, fangirlzone.com. You have all our contact links there. It makes it so much easier because I don't remember them all. Shoot us a message because we want to hear your theories about everything. And as always, check out Hollow 9. And Jennifer can tell you a little bit more about that because that's where you can find her way more often.
Yep, I am Jennifer 9. I am over at the Hollow 9 Network. That is the word hollow, the number 9 INE, because we're cool that way. We have a lot of different podcasts over there. There's a little bit of something for everybody, and we do have some Fangirl Zone podcasts over there in syndication. So you can check them out there and check them out on the Fangirl Zone as well. But I'm spread out throughout a lot of the shows, so if if you look, you'll find me. I'm there. Definitely check out Tangent City, which is our first original audio drama. If you go to tangentcity.hollow9.com, it'll take you right to it. It's pretty cool. We're getting ready to release episode 6 soon. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Jennifer9, spelled like Hollow 9 with the 9 I-N-E on Twitter. I'm really bad at Twitter. So if you want to get an actual answer from me, send me an email. I'm Jennifer@hollow9.com. All
right. So everything insanity that was Handmaid's Tale. We hope you enjoyed our little recap, and we want to hear from you. And we, of course, will be back for episode 3 and the rest of the season, and maybe even season 3. I'm kind of hoping that it's already going to happen, but.
Oh, I totally am down for a season 3. Totally. There's so many stories that can be told.
There are. So for this episode of Handmaid's Tale, I am Sean Fangirl S.
And I'm Jennifer 9.
And until next time.